So for the participants who are just joining us, welcome to this StartImpulse Online. Today we'll speak about online safety with Lucy and Theo. The duration of that presentation will be approximately 45 minutes. We will have a Q&A sessions at the end, and please use the chat for any questions you may have during the presentation. I will collect them and then ask Lucian about these questions during the Q&A session. And thank you for your punctuality. So we'll start in about 2 minutes. For your information, this workshop and StartImpulse Online is being recorded. So, and then it will be published on our YouTube channel. All right, I think we will start. So again, for the people just joining, welcome to the StartImpulse Online. Today we'll speak about online safety. So just a quick introduction about IMJ and the support that we can offer to founders. So IMJ is an organization that's going to help you to incorporate. So thanks to our team of legal advisors and notaries, we will help you to incorporate either as a LTD, LLC, sole proprietorship, or general partnership. Then we have our sister company called Venturelab. Venturelab is an organization that will help and support high-tech startups in order to find funding and also coach their growth through different programs. One of them is VentureKick. VentureKick is a competition in which you can earn up to 150,000 Swiss francs. It's a competition in 3 stages. The first stage, you can earn a grant of 10,000 Swiss francs. Second stage is going to be 40,000 as a convertible loan, and eventually it's going to be the 100,000 left as a convertible loan as well. Moreover, we have been also mandated by the Confederation to organize education sessions for entrepreneurs in 4 sectors: biotech, medtech, ICT, and advanced engineering. So if you have a project in one of these sectors, I highly encourage you to apply. And if you're selected, you will benefit of 5 days of workshop over 6 weeks. Just a couple of more information about IFJ. We have 3 missions. The first one is to inform entrepreneurs about their business plan and how to start their business. We do this through courses, checklists, or also our tool, IFJ Business Plan tool, which helps you to manage your business plan. Then we also have our online portal to incorporate. Thanks to our partners, especially Plus Finance and Swisscom, you can incorporate for free, meaning all the fees of the notaries will be offered. And so you can do all of this online. You just need to select the legal form you want to incorporate, fulfill the information, and then our incorporation team will manage the rest. And then you also benefit from all the partnership we have with different companies to help you grow your business. And finally, I will also help you to develop, to get started with different partnership. We have an accounting solution with Pexio, which is a software, an accounting software. We also have courses in accounting, marketing, and sales. And you can still have support for legal advice with IMJ, and we have an online platform if you need to make commercial changes related to your company. So I'm going to leave you with now Lucian. He's going to speak about online safety habits for working professionals. I think it's super important topic, especially nowadays. So now I'm going to give the word to Lucian.
Thank you. Can you guys see my screen? Is everything working for everyone?
Yes, we could see your screen.
Thank you. So welcome to my humble home. I think all of us are quite familiar with working from home in the last 6 months. And I was told that I needed to tell you that I'm actually not in Switzerland. I'm actually based out of Asia, and I'm sitting in Asia right now. So I understand that most of you signed up and you want to learn how to be online scammers and criminals, is it? And so we'll go through some of that. And I think as an online scammer, it's a really good time to be one, because let me show you some stats that might interest you. Ever since COVID-19 hit, we've seen people come online like exponentially. They're watching more movies, they're buying more things, they're on social media a lot more. And therefore, the field for online scammers is so much bigger today than it ever was. And just looking at shopping alone, right? Today we see that everybody is buying stuff. If you look here, this is 2019, right? And then you have this spike here, which is the shopping season, the year-end shopping season. And then it falls again in January. And then when COVID hit, everybody went on online shopping because the malls were closed. Everything is now online. So coming back, the question for you is, why do you want to be an online scammer? Do you know that most people always think that they will never be scammed online? Like it's improbable, like nobody will ever fall for things. And I will kind of explain how they think, all right? Let's see. So this is a story, kind of an account, all right? Two friends go camping. I think this is in the Swiss Alps, right? And they encounter a bear. So couldn't find a picture of a ferocious bear. I only have this one, so bear with me. And being from Asia, this is what bears look like to us. So they encounter a ferocious bear, and the bear comes into their tent, and they are starting to run away. And then these two friends, as they start running away, one of them starts putting on his shoes, right? And his other friend asks him, "What on earth are you doing? Why are you putting on your shoes? You can't outrun a bear. A bear runs faster than you." And his friend just says, "I don't need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you." Right? And this right here, coming back to this right here is why people fall for scams all the time, because they think that they're smarter than the last guy, and that us scammers only go for the last guy. That means we only scam one person at a time, right? That we don't think bigger than that. So you always think that people who fall for scams are people who maybe are new to technology. Maybe you think they're the elderly, they're not very good. And most people think, oh, I've been online for a while, I'm pretty smart. I won't fall for anything, right? Let me show you our 3-step plan on how we intend to scam the whole world. So imagine the world is full of fish, right? And for the majority of them, what we do is we'll cast a wide net. So these kind of scams include things like mailing lists. I'll email everybody I know, and maybe 0.01% of them will fall for it, right? You guys laugh because you remember this. This is like the Nigerian prince, oh, I'm a prince. If you give me $50, I will give you $50 million. And most of you sophisticated people probably think nobody ever falls for that. You'd be surprised, maybe 1 or 2 they do, and that's all we kind of need. We don't need too many, because the volume of people we send out to is huge. And then you have the second group, right? So for the smarter people, maybe we do a bit of line fishing. We put some hooks in the water, we see if they bite. Or this could include like shopping scams, things that you think it's a good sale. When you receive the good, it could be counterfeit. You know, maybe you never received the goods. During COVID, we've seen some syndicates do this quite effectively, right? They started selling masks because everybody was buying face masks during COVID. They would sell them at a high price. When you bought them, they never delivered, and then they just took your money and they left. And then the last one, right? For the big targets, these we spearfish. We fish them with a spear, and for these guys, we are very selective in who we target. We target the very high net worth individuals, right? I just need to scam one and I scam them of a big amount. And what I'll do is I'll do a lot of homework. I'll know where they live. I know the names of their family members. I know their phone numbers. I know all these things because they share it with me on social media, or they share it with everybody anyway. So these are kind of the different tactics we use. And I guess you guys are here to learn this, I suppose. So anyway, I mean, if you make it big, you get a big house like mine, and you get to live wherever in the world you want, I think. Anyway, this is what I thought for an intro. I thought it might be interesting to kind of step in the mind of a online scammer, but most of them actually are not quite so rich. They live in a small apartment like me. So anyway, let's do this. So kind of coming back, I really wish I could see all of you. It's very odd to see like a matrix of names, but let's try using the chat function if we can. What are your top online safety concerns as a working individual? You can type it in, type it into the chat. Hi, it's nice to see you, Judith. If you can just type, what are you concerned about from an online safety angle? Banking account, anything else? Big brother, so I assume privacy is an issue. True. Company websites being hacked, I suppose. Yeah, hackers can see files on your computer. Absolutely. I mean, thank you so much for the exchange. I love that we can kind of speak to each other. It's been about maybe a year and a half since I've been to Switzerland. And the last time I went there, I think I had a live event where I got to meet many people, and I got to talk about the differences between Asia and Switzerland. So for those of you who know, I actually work in Google. I'm not an online scammer, but I thought I'd just kind of play one for a while. I'm sitting here in Singapore because I work out at Google Singapore. You know, it is 6:45 in the afternoon here. The day is almost done. You know, my kids are having dinner outside. I have a green screen behind me in a very small apartment. I'm not living in a big house, but every now and then I put up some image and it gives me the appearance of space. So anyway, let's try and talk about the different safety concerns you have. You're not alone in this, right? So many people Google these questions. They ask, am I being hacked, right? I lost my phone, how do I find it? Some people lose their identity, or they feel like they saw a site that doesn't look quite right and they want to report it. Impersonation, hacking, privacy, these are all very real concerns. And they are real concerns for everybody, everywhere around the world, right? I've been to 36 different Google offices around the world to give talks. In almost every country I've been to, these things come up. Like, we know we need to use technology. We know it's going to be a bigger part of our lives. Now with COVID-19, it's something we use every single day. We don't even do meetings kind of face-to-face very much anymore. Everything's kind of through this. What if somebody stole my credentials? What if somebody came into a meeting that they weren't supposed to and saw the secret plans that we were talking about? What if somebody later on sees this recording and takes only the front part and says that I really am an online scammer, and they don't show the back part where I reveal who I really am? These are all real kind of safety concerns. So first thing, one of the top concerns people have is, what if I download something that gives people control over my device, right? Malware and viruses. So just kind of an introduction. Malware, viruses, they're just programs created to damage your computer, steal your information, right? We are seeing a rise in ransomware. Ransomware is basically when they hack into your system. And this is if you run a small company, they could hack into your system, they could lock you out, and then they could ask you, they could email you later and say, if you pay this amount of money, we will then unlock your system so that you can work. This was a great concern for us because when COVID-19 hit, there was a lot of concern that hospitals would get hit with ransomware. Imagine if hospitals, their computer systems go down and they can't treat people with COVID until they pay $1 million, until they pay $2 million. So we were very, very, very vigilant about whether ransomware was going out. And what was, I don't know if you could say this was heartening, we actually had one of the top hacking syndicates come to media. They went in the newspaper and said that for COVID, we will not attack hospitals because this is a global emergency, right? So in a sense, it's nice to hear that even criminals have some conscience, but it was definitely one of the big concerns. If you're concerned about malware and Trojan horses and ransomware, the things to look out for is it needs to be delivered to you in some form. You need to guard how it gets there. An example here is email. Email is one of the most common ways they get you. The things you want to look out for is an email address. A lot of times you just look at the name, right? You see the sender, the name looks familiar, and then you straight away answer the email or you do something which you're instructed to do. One of the things scammers do, and I'll tell you this because this happened, I got a report just 2 days ago from somebody who was a victim to this. She thought her boss sent her an email because the name was the boss, right? And because most of your email programs, they don't show the email address anymore. They shorten it so it's neater. So you only see the name. If you want to see the email address, you need to click, drop down, and then you look at the email address. So she didn't realize that the email address was a nonsense throwaway email address, but the name was her boss's name. And her boss said, I need your help to buy some gift cards for customers because we need to kind of give it to them. Could you buy some gift cards? Just scratch out the numbers, take a photo of it and send it over to me so I can email them the codes because this is part of some campaign that we're running. And the best part was they actually were doing this campaign for customers, right? They were doing this. So what we know is that the scammer has been in their system for a while, has been reading all their emails, might have been 6 months, might have been a year, you don't know, waiting for the right time to strike. So whenever you're expecting a big payment or you're expecting something, this is when they kind of grab that opportunity to get money out of you. No, the good scammers don't attack you immediately. They wait. They wait for a good time. She bought $5,000 worth of gift cards, scratched them out, sent them over, and she's never going to see them again because we don't know who runs that email. We don't know where the gift cards went to, whether they were resold on eBay, because they just became codes that people could just transmit to anybody in the world. So if you see an email where you're going to exchange information or you're going to give money, double check to see if the email sender address is the right one. Sometimes they talk about events that you're not familiar with, right? They may be talking about, you bought something, but you didn't buy it, right? One of the more popular scams around the world is, especially now during COVID, is you have a parcel waiting at customs. Customs is holding on to it. You need to pay $20 so that we can process it and send it over to you. If you didn't order the parcel, or if that wasn't the exact thing you ordered, don't respond. And even if it did, double check, right? Always find a piece of information that you can verify who they are. And then the last part, if in doubt, never open an attachment because that's how you load malware viruses to your system. So these are things you do. What happened to me yesterday was somebody called me on my phone and said, oh, hi, am I speaking to Lucian? And I said, yes. Hi, I'm from your bank. I need to verify some details, right? And it's smart because he goes straight into it and he goes like, I need you to verify your date of birth. You know, to verify, he said, so the person on the phone said, to verify that you are Lucian, can you please give me your date of birth, you know, and then your address so that I know it's you. Thank goodness I was alert because I was about to give it. And then I realized that, wait a second, how do I know you are you? Because I need you to verify who you are before I verify who I am. So we had this long talk. In the end, he had to send me an email with his official email address. I had to double check that that came from the right email before I even sent any information over. So double check your files before downloading. If you need to use trusted antivirus software. And then the third one, avoid using USB devices that you don't own. All right. I'm trying to balance between teaching you how to protect yourself and also not telling you how scammers work in too much detail. But one of the things scammers do is they do leave USB devices around. So an example would be if you still went back to the office or if you're working out of a cafe. If I left a thumb drive on the desk, there's a very high chance that you would take the thumb drive, put it in your computer just to see who it belongs to, right? So you got to be careful about these things. Don't plug anything in you're not supposed to. I'll jump straight into phishing scams. I think, are you guys familiar with phishing scams? Do you know how to use the reaction tab in Zoom where you can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down? If you go to the bottom of your window, there's reactions on the right side. You can do something like this. There you go. Yeah. So you guys know what phishing is? Thumbs up. Yes. So some of you do, some of you don't. Great. Excellent. So phishing scams, basically, they are attempts, they impersonate trusted websites, right? In order to get your information or get your money. An example might be they're trying to impersonate PayPal or maybe Credit Suisse. They'll send an email or maybe you go to a site that looks exactly like it. And what you want to look up for, again, sender's email address, right? Anytime you're asked to give information, update your account, anytime you give information or you give money, that's when your alertness needs to come up. And then they will always have a link button that sends you to a site, right? Sometimes they may even put a legitimate looking URL. So the website address looks right, but if you mouse over, it actually leads you to another site. So always check where you go. We won't do the phishing quiz today because we only have 45 minutes, but you need to always validate the links that they send you. Be careful for impersonators. So even if it pops up, later on we cover pop-up. If it looks like an Amazon site, double check to see if you're on Amazon, double check to see if you're on Credit Suisse site before you key in your username and password. So something like this, you may find from time to time, scammers do use this. And then after that, when you click on it, it leads you to a separate site. There's a question coming from Daniel. Is it possible to put a true email address under the real name, even if it's another person? Truth is, it is possible, yes, but it's a lot harder. So right now at Google, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get as many large organizations to adopt a DMARC standard that is an authentication layer so that even it authenticates that the email is absolutely from the organization it's sent from. So that's what we're trying to get people to adopt. So yes, it's possible to fake the email address, but it's going to be quite a bit harder. So most scammers, they're not there yet. So it's just good to drop down and just double check. Thanks for the question. So very quickly, we talk about the habits you need to have to protect yourself, right? We always talk about strong passwords, protecting your account with two-step verification, securing your devices, keeping your software updated, and then safe browsing. I'll go through it quite quickly, and then we'll take some questions later on. You guys know what strong passwords are. I used to show a video of Jimmy Kimmel in the US. He's a talk show host. And what he did was he'd go downstairs with his camera and just talk to people on the street. And one of the things he'd do is he would ask people for their passwords, like what's a password that you use? And he would then publish the video on TV and then on YouTube. Right? And a lot of people, they'd say things like, yeah, my password is my cat's name and the year I graduated. And then they would have a conversation and then like, oh, you have a cat, so cute. Oh, what's your cat's name? And then the person would say, oh yeah, my cat's Jameson, right? And then they'll talk a little bit more, oh, what year did you graduate? Oh, no, 1991, you're right? And then from there, people kind of give up their passwords. Whenever I show the password, people laugh because you don't imagine people being so gullible, but people are. But the problem with me showing that is that I made people think that only those people get tricked, and that because you won't fall for that, you won't get tricked. But the truth is, if a smart enough scammer were to plan and think through how they could get your information and you're not alert, you would fall for it. So we know that strong passwords keep accounts protected, right? You guys, if you work in any company before, your IT department would force you to create a long password and then put in numbers, put in special characters. That's the other thing that you need to put in. But I'll tell you, I'm guessing most of you are about my age. So I'm in my 40s. I'm a bit older than I look. I'm guessing most of you are around maybe 30s, 20, 30s, working age. And I am going to guess when you created your first password, you were in your teens or younger, right? And if I wanted to guess what your password is, I would look for maybe cartoons around the time you created your password. Or maybe if you created your passwords in your teens, I'll look for like bands, like a music that you would probably have listened to. And I could guess that the passwords you created probably were those. And then I can also guess, probably, at some point you were told to make a longer password, or with capital letters, and then you would probably capitalize the first letter because that's what most people would do, capitalize the first letter, small for the rest. And then you were asked to put a number. Most of you put your numbers behind. Not many people put the numbers in the middle or in front. Most of you put the numbers behind. The numbers would probably be birthdays, a favorite, phone numbers, zip codes, family birthdays. So maybe not your birthday, but maybe your child's birthday, your wife or husband's birthday, best friends, things like that. And then a special character, most people around the world, I'm not sure about Switzerland, but most people around the world use the hashtag. So they'll put the hash before the number. And that is the most common password variation. If you are thinking that, oh my God, that's what I do, try to make it a little stronger, please. Because one thing I also know is that if the minimum password length that your IT department asks you is 8 characters, your password's going to be 8 characters. You're not going to make it any longer than the minimum. And because I know the length, I kind of know the time was created, I kind of know the numbers you would use. It's not difficult to guess what password you use, right? Some may be wondering like, no big deal. I mean, the password I use for my bank is different from this one. If you steal this password, no big deal. I'll just create new accounts, nothing lost. We'll take our time. I mean, like I said, scammers are patient people. They will break into a system and then they will slowly wait, and then they'll get more information to break into the systems that truly matter and that you lose out more on. Because one of the things people do is you use the same password for everything. And I think this is true. I've been talking about this for like maybe 3 years now, at least 3 years. I've been in Google for 6 years, but I used to teach strong passwords. People get that. People don't understand why you need to use different passwords. You absolutely need to use different passwords because the scammer just needs to steal one, and then they would break into all your accounts, right? So if I were a scammer, back to my scamming days, I would send you an email with a fake site to a very good sale. Maybe I could be selling sneakers for very, very cheap. You would be interested, you would click on the ones you want to buy, you put it in the cart, everything seems to be working out. And then you want to buy. The moment you want to buy, I'd say create an account, right? Like most places, most shopping platforms do that. And then you would create an account and then you click, yeah, I really want to buy this because, oh, I have 30 seconds left before the sale ends. You click buy, nothing happens, the site fails, and you go like, oh, stupid site, it doesn't work. What you didn't realize is that when you created an account, you sent them your email address and you sent them the password you always use. With that pair, I just need to run it through a script, bounce it off all the social media accounts, all the email platforms, every single login I think you might use. The ones that I do log in, I manage successfully log in. I will go in there, I will change your password, I will lock you out of it. So if I have your email, you don't even have an email to complain. Right now, even if you wanted to report that you had your account broken into, you can't even do that because you don't even have your email. Which is why I'm telling people, please, for your own sake, use different passwords for everyone. I can't see your faces, but I know many of you are nodding. You're going like, yeah, I use different passwords, don't worry. I'm going to guess those nodding, the majority of you have about 3 passwords. You have 3. One very secure one, which is the longest one medium length one, which you use maybe for social media. And then the third one is a kind of a throwaway one that you use maybe for like forums that you go into, the not so secure ones, right? And the problem is these 3 emails, they are the same ones. It's just, you just added like extra numbers behind them. And I just needed to kind of crack that to get to the most secure one. I'm guessing that's what you do. Again, I can't see your faces, but I'm guessing there are faces of alarm. Normally, there are faces of alarm in the crowd when I'm in. Right, we will cover, so Judith, we will cover how to store the passwords. I will get there, right? So the thing is, you need different passwords for different things. And the problem with this, let me see if I have this. The problem with this is that you have like a million different passwords, right? And that's going to be a problem. Let me pull up my, yeah. Do you know how many logins you guys have? You want to just guess in the chat, just put a number down. How many logins do you think you have? 120 is a good number, yeah. 250? Any more guesses? 50? I love it. One thing I remember, Switzerland is well known for precision. And I'll tell you this, 290 is pretty darn close. Most people have easily 150 to 300, 500 logins, right? Because you're not counting those that you created just to, you wanted to leave a comment on a forum, you created a password and then you stored it somewhere. You wanted to shop for something, buying something just one time, you created a password, you put it somewhere. So we have 100 over passwords. And the problem with using different passwords, you can't remember them all, which is why most of us use the same ones, or we use the 3 or 4, and then we reuse them all the time. I'll give you a tip. One way is this. Let's assume this is your super strong password that you've committed to memory that you can remember. This is the one you use all the time, right? And then, and then you want to use this for a different site. One good tip, for example, if I'm logging into google.com, just an example, you can do this. You can take random letters from the website address or the website name and then plug it into your super long password to make every password different, right? That means just have your own algorithm of where to key, where do you insert the letters? It can be the front, the back, in the middle, right? And you can do that, right? And now every password is not the same. And even if I stole one of your passwords and I tried to reuse it, I wouldn't know which letters were real and which ones are the inserts. Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? Give me a thumbs up if you do in the reactions, if this tip makes sense to you. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really good to see some response. Yeah. So this is the kind of quick and easy way without spending money. You don't have to buy a password manager. You don't have to pay for an app. This is one way you could do it, right? But I would also advocate using an app because password managers are really, really good, right? So Google has its own smart lock. But I mean, for me, I just want you to be safe. So I'm just telling you, use a reputable password manager. You can use 1Password, LastPass, Google Smart Lock. You can use Dashlane is also another pretty good one. The apps you can buy these days. So you can store all your passwords on your phone. And now you just need to remember the 1Password to log into this, and then your password manager will store all your passwords, right? And then there are extensions on your browser you can install so that this password manager will automatically key in your username and passwords into, let's say you're going to Amazon or you're going to your credit Suisse site, they'll automatically key in your username and password there, and then you just log in. The cool thing is that they will check that the website address is authentic before they key in the username and passwords, right? Before you log in. So they will do that check for you because most of the time we don't bother looking at the website address. We just looks like my bank site, I'm just gonna key it in. Now, I love this. So the question Judith asked in the chat, why are these secure, right? Meaning if I have a password manager, is it secure? And my goal for you during this training is to have you think a little bit more critically about the risk of every single avenue you choose. I can tell you for sure there is a foolproof way where you can store passwords that will never ever be hacked, but I can reduce the risk. So number one, if I use the same password for everything, every single login is a risk. If I lose one, I lose all, right? If I store all my passwords in a password manager, and that password manager, I have 1Password to kind of log into that, and this password I never reuse anywhere else, and it's the strongest one I can come up with and remember. And this password manager stores all my unique passwords, and I don't even know, because the password manager manages it, I don't even know my passwords to all these different sites. And every time I create a new account, the password manager will just give me a random password, and then it will remember it for me. So I don't know the passwords there. So even if you strung me up and tortured me, pulled my fingernails out or whatever, I can't tell you because I don't remember any, I don't know any of the passwords. So you can't take that from me, right? So people have asked, how does this make a password manager safe? Great question, Larry, great question. The thing that makes them safe is now I only need to keep my eye on one guy. Just one guy. I just need to keep my eye on this one guy. This guy has one job. His job is to keep my password safe, right? What you could do to make it even better, have your password manager store the, so basically what happens is your passwords are stored in an encrypted file so that your password manager can kind of decrypt when you key in your long password, right? You can store that file maybe on another cloud service, like a cloud storage. So the file is stored in an encrypted state on a cloud service. So the cloud service can't look at the file. The password manager site doesn't have the file. It can only unlock the file. And that's probably the more secure way to do it. It's going to be slightly technical, slightly harder. No, but for most people, just storing it with a password manager decreases your risk by 250 times, 300 times, where it used to be the same password. So that is the calculation of risk. I'm not saying it is risk-free. I'm saying it is less risk. Yeah. So smart lock, keeping track of multiple passwords. Another way you could do it is have a notebook. No, whenever I bring this up, people go like, oh, that's the worst. You should never write your passwords down, never ever, right? And this is because when we were younger, you remember getting your first PIN number, like when you first got your first debit card or ATM card when you were young. You were given in an envelope by the bank. It was one of those very cool envelopes where if you try to look through it, there was the pattern and you couldn't see anything. And then you would tear off the perforated sides, open it up. And then your parents would tell you, memorize that password, never ever write it down. Don't write it down. Don't put it on the card. Don't write it on the ATM card. And so we were always taught to say, never write down your passwords, never write down your passwords. But the truth is today with 300 passwords, it's not a bad idea to write them down on a book. Because if you're using 300 different passwords, it's stronger than using the same one, right? And writing them down on a book means that yes, somebody who steals the book will get your passwords true, right? Some people have said, what if my friend steals it? I mean, he sits next to me, or my colleague sits next to me every day. What if he sees the book and he steals it, right? In which case I would tell you, you need new friends. Because most of the time, people who steal passwords, they're not people around you. There's some guy far away. There's some guy sitting in Asia, maybe, or like me, some faraway guy sitting in my fake big house and thinking of ways where I can get you to cough out your passwords. But I wouldn't bother knowing you like face to face. And so having a notebook isn't a bad idea. One exercise I do with students is I get them to think a little bit more critically. If you were to write it in your notebook, how would you write it in such a way that only you understood how to use those passwords, right? Would you insert some rubbish characters in there? Like only you know these characters will never be used. And then every time you just look at it, you know to strike those out in your mind. So even if you lose the book, it's encrypted, right? People wouldn't be able to kind of put in their passwords. If you use a notebook though, I would advise having 2 copies, lock 1 copy up in the safe so that if you lose it, you don't lose everything. But a notebook is not the worst idea I've heard. It's a pretty good idea to keep safe. And then of course, set up your recovery phone and email. If you guys are on Gmail or have a Google account, I would advise you to go to myaccount.google.com so that if you ever are locked out, you can authenticate that it is you. Because there will come a day you forget your password. We don't want you to lose all your email, all your photos, or stuff you stored on Google. So there's a website called HowSecureIsMyPassword.net. It's interesting because I've seen this used in so many trainings, and the trainer will always go to this site, key in your email password to find out how strong it is, and everybody goes on their phone, they go to the website, and they start keying it in. And I've even seen this being done for like guests of honors who are ministers, you know, like you have a training for like government officials. And you ask the government officials, yeah, put in your email password into this site and it'll tell how strong it is. And they fall for it. The site, to be fair, the site is a legitimate site. It doesn't capture your email. I've checked the site, right? It's just basic JavaScript that checks how complex your password is. And then, yeah, it'll tell you how long it takes to brute force to break your password. So you can try that out. I wouldn't suggest putting in the real password you use, but maybe a similar type password just to figure out if it's strong or not. And then I suppose most of you are familiar with two-step verification, where you have a token and then you have your password. Many of you would probably have your phone number as the authentication layer. That means for banking services, send me the SMS with the code and then I'll key that in and then my password. That makes it a lot stronger because now if I'm a scammer, I need to steal 2 things. I need to steal, number 1, your password, and then I need to steal your phone. So you've made it a lot harder for me to crack into your system. One note you might want to bear in mind, if you're using SMS as the avenue for the bank or the authority to send you the code, SMS isn't very strong. Because I can spoof, if I know your phone number, I could possibly spoof it to get the same SMSs you get. So those things are possible. So I would rather you download an app. So you have authenticated apps that you could download to use to generate the code instead. Those are a lot stronger. Otherwise, if you go to the website g.co/2sv, they talk about these things called security keys. I have one right here. So this is what a security key looks like. It's like a USB. I just told you not to use USB sticks, but if you buy this on your own, I think you're good, because if you initiated the transfer and nobody dropped this on your desk, you're fine. Right? This is a key. Within it is a code that is kind of hard-coded into the chipset. And I basically tell my Google account that this key is going to be my token. So I will put in my password, and then I'll have this key on me. I'll put it in my machine, tap on it. I need to tap on it to activate it. So this is probably the strongest line of defense we have today. And secure your device. Many years ago when I was doing this, people weren't used to putting passwords on their phones because they said it took too long, right? Like, oh, if my wife calls me up on my phone and then I need to type in the code to unlock my phone before picking it up, no, it'll take too long. So people left out the security layer on their phone. But today, many of you use apps, right? You use things like Facebook, you use things like maybe any social media app. Most of them have automatic login. That means if I tap on it on your phone, I'm already into your account, which means if your phone is not protected, if you don't have a password layer on your phone, immediately I have all your accounts. I can check your email right away. I don't need to log into your email. So secure your device, right? If you guys are using most of you today probably use fingerprint recognition. How many of you use facial recognition? Give me a thumbs up if you do. Face recognition on your phone. Thumbs up. And you guys have issues now, right? Because you guys have to wear masks. So all of a sudden, it doesn't work anymore because you're covering half your face because of COVID. When you go out there, it doesn't work. So you have to key in a number anyway. So if you use a pattern like on Android, one of the tips to tell you guys is turn off the line. Like you've seen the patterns before, right? And if you make your own pattern, you can have the line appear in red to show you where you moved your finger. Turn off the line, because I've sat at the back of a public bus, like public transportation. I just sit at the back of the bus. I can see the guy right in front. He's unlocking his phone. I see the red line like from a mile away, and I can make up his PIN almost immediately. So turn that off. Turn off the line so you know where you move your finger. That's good enough. If you can use the PIN where it uses numbers and letters, so the PIN for your phone becomes harder. The difficulty I have with mine, and I set mine to have letters and numbers. The difficulty is in the morning when I wake up and I want to unlock my phone. And maybe some of you, like you wear contact lenses or you wear glasses. It's too small, you can't see. And you can't unlock your phone until like you're totally ready. So that's one inconvenience you face, but small price to pay for security. I'll move on quickly to kind of the end points, I think. Keep your devices updated. So one thing that people do ask is, are there any antivirus software that we need to use? No, I don't know if you were online or using computers in the 90s, because I was a big computer user from maybe the 80s to the 90s and then onwards. In the 90s, everybody had antivirus. And then somehow, like today, like nobody uses antivirus anymore, right? A lot of it is because software makers have gotten a lot better at updating their software. Because previously, when you bought software, you would buy it it used to be a box. You would go to a shop, you buy it on a box, you would open it up, you would get a CD, you would install it, right? And then to update it, there was no way the software maker could ever update it for you, because there wasn't like constant internet connection. There wasn't all of this, or internet connections were too slow for them to kind of update software. So what happened was antivirus companies were the ones to block these vulnerabilities that appeared in software. But today, most software makers are able to update their software very quickly, right? The problem is that most of us, when we see this, right, we get annoyed. We go like, we'll do it later. You know, I don't have Wi-Fi right now, I'm not gonna do it. Or, I'm going to sleep, I'll do this later. And we keep pushing it back. What you don't know is every time you see one of these, the chances of it being a security update is very, very high. If you don't update it, you're keeping your system open to attack. which means that there is a software vulnerability that is out there, number one, and now people know about it. So which means hackers know that the vulnerability exists. So I'd go with, let's patch that up quickly. Would I recommend antivirus? So I mean, generally, if you can use an antivirus, I would say, let me turn back a bit. About 4 years ago, we ran a survey with the top security experts in the world as to what the top 5 tips were people should know about. Antivirus wasn't even in the top 5. Number 1 was this: keep your software updated. Always, because if you're updated, you're good. Antivirus doesn't even catch vulnerabilities faster than the software makers themselves. So just make sure you update everything. And then keep your app data. I'll go through this quickly. Check your apps, right? Maybe you downloaded Fortnite when you were a lot younger and playing games. Maybe now you're older, but you still have the app on your phone, but you've never used it in 2 years. But the app still has permissions to see a lot of the things on your phone. Check on that. Make sure that you have locked all those things out. Safe browsing. Sometimes you encounter the red screen like you see over here. If you see the red screen and it tells you that this site is unsafe, please believe it. The site, okay, this warning actually comes from Google. So the safe browsing team sits really, or used to sit when we were in the office, behind me. And they would scan the internet for all the websites as fast as they could to find out which ones were threats to security. So that whenever people would go there, we would issue a warning. Warning, this site might be deceptive. This site might contain malware. We would warn people, but we would also give people the choice. If they wanted to continue to the site, they could click at the link below, continue to the site. I'm going to ignore the warning. You could still do that. And what we discovered was many people still clicked on it, not believing that the warning to be true. But I'm telling you, the warning is true. Yeah. And then, I mean, there are other tips here, like don't conduct financial transactions over public Wi-Fi. I think these you guys should know about. One thing which was a big tip, but no longer because of COVID, was whenever you go to a new country, the first thing we do is look for Wi-Fi at the airport. My question for you is, how do you know that is the Wi-Fi? Like that's the one the airport provided, and that's not me sitting in the corner opening a free Wi-Fi and then you guys just signing on and then me getting all your data. Right? So things to think about if we ever get to traveling again. And the last part, whenever you're conducting any transactions where you're exchanging information or money, look for the HTTPS because it means that it's a secure connection between you and the website, which means people listening in on the same Wi-Fi network won't be able to read your data. So very quickly, I mean, the last part, protect your Wi-Fi at home. And this is what I would like you to do, that this is the last slide I have for today. We have a security checkup, right? And if for those of you on Gmail, do this. It's kind of tough to tell people to not go to websites that strangers tell you about because I'm a stranger to you. But if you go to g.co/security checkup, we have a checklist of things we will walk through with you. Whether the passwords you use and store on Google have been compromised somewhere else, we will let you know, right? You can check to see if somebody has logged in to your Google account from another country that you don't seem to be in. For example, you're sitting in Switzerland and then they tell you, we noticed that somebody in Singapore has logged into your Google account, and you go, that's not me. You can lock that person out. You can check the devices that have been accessing your Google account. And if one of those devices has not accessed that account in a long time, and sometimes you resell your computers, right? Like you get a new phone and then you sell the old one. The old one still has access to your Google account. You can lock it out. So those are things you can do on security checkup. So I'd strongly encourage all of you to go there, and then there's a review to your security status. And so with that, I mean, we can go straight into the Q&A part. You can ask me anything and I'll be happy to answer. If you want to turn on your video, we could ask face-to-face. If you want to type them in the chat, you can do that as well. Yeah, I'd love to see all of you. I mean, if it's convenient or okay. You have a question? Yeah, please go for it, Judy.
Yeah, thanks. I'm having I'm using two email addresses. One is Gmail, and my emails are regularly land in the other person's spam, and the other way around sometimes, but mine is much more put into spam. And I checked chats, and I try to, so I try not to send attachments, and I did some of the things that was advised, but this never stops, and I don't know what to actually do. So I mean, is it worth I checked they are not hacked, I mean, or at least a couple of months ago I checked. And I don't know if, you know, it's worth checking I mean, that would be crazy to check everything.
No, you can't check your spam email all the time, right?
No way. So is it worth actually opening a new email simply? Does that help? Or what do you think I could do?
Okay, I need to clarify the question. Are you talking about the emails you send out being marked as spam, or are you talking about the emails you receive marked as spam, but that you send?
Let's talk about the ones I send. Mm-hmm.
And the other party says it always lands in their spam box.
Well, because I'm sending to customers, to emails that I receive, I answer emails that I receive, and the same email, so the same, on the same email that I got, so mine is landing in their spam, you know. So
yes.
And
so one of the things that happen is that I think at Google or any email platform company, they would normally look at, is this email address sending out a lot of emails that are similar? So this happens when you send out newsletters, or you send out, like, you know, those promotional emails. You are sending to a mailing list of a lot of customers at once. No?
In my case, no. I'm sending to individual emails. I'm not doing any newslettering. I know about this. I read, of course.
Yes. Okay. If the individuals you're sending to are kind of fixed and they find that it always goes into their spam box, do they choose to kind of say this is not spam? And after a while, it should correct, right?
Yes, that is a bit ad hoc. So they do, because then I send an SMS if I know their number. I mean, it's crazy because it's twice as much work. But I send an SMS. Yeah, hi. I sent you. I answered you. I sent you my email. Did you? If you didn't get it, then please check spam. And then they put it into their inbox, and then sometimes that works. Sometimes, and then sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes it still doesn't go, or they don't get my email for some reason, which I cannot really go on analyzing too much and, you know, bothering them to do work for me to find out why mine is not going into there. And that's kind of bothering, because it's so difficult to ask people for additional favors, you know.
Agree.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not exactly a security question. This is more a business question. But should I set up another email address to kind of manage this? Mm-hmm. If let's say I'm losing a lot of business, a lot of customers never ever receive my email, I would probably do that. I'll probably set up a separate email address. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you have a domain name where this is your company and you use that instead, right, then it's more official. I think email providers would respect like domain names a lot more than generic, like Gmail generic email address.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, but this is an important part of it. So I do have one. I do have an official email, and I talk to my provider as well. And then, I mean, it's okay. It's a small provider, so maybe I should look for a more professional one. But then it costs much more. Yeah. So yeah, this is a question. So where is kind of the benchmark, or so that the provider doesn't cost that much, but it's still secure? Because they told me that everything is hackable. And And that email, so actually both kind of emails go. Not only my Gmail goes into spam often, but this official email as well goes into spam. So I really am not sure what to do.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not much help here because I mean, I suppose you could report it to Gmail and then your other provider as well.
Yeah.
But if you have two providers and both emails from both are going to spam, you might want to check to see like your signature that you use, whether there are any links that might be construed as a bit spammy, right? And then, I mean, the content, like, do you send a lot of links? I mean, just check whether or not, from a criminal point of view, it could be seen as these seem to be like signals. I'm going to jump to the next question, which Nolani posted in the chat. Any software firewalls that I recommend? So like I said, I think just keeping the software updated is probably enough for most people. So in most software today, you can click automatic updating. Some people turn it off because they're always afraid that, oh, it'll take up a lot of bandwidth and all that. I would strongly advise you to turn automatic updating on, whether it's for your browser, whether it's for any software you use, even on your phone. And I think that's good enough. I don't think you need additional firewall or software unless you have something important to guard. So for example, if I have like data that I really want to protect on a server that I run, you know, and if you're at that level, then you talk about buying firewalls to protect that. But I think today we're just talking about consumer level security software. Yeah. So any free security software ones. Okay, so whenever I look at free security software, I need to think carefully about how do they make their money? Because people need to make money. They've got to make money some way. Do they sell the data? I mean, data about me. If they don't sell my data, they sell data about me. They have to, the business model has got to make sense. So when it comes to security software, I normally wouldn't trust free ones. I would rather just have good habits, might be better. And then a second question from Nolani, I'll just address this quickly. Sister-in-law received an email from my email address that I didn't send her. She could not open them. Thank goodness she couldn't open them because I think that's a good thing. Did someone hack my account to be able to send emails? Your sister-in-law may want to kind of see the drop down to check whether the email address is actually your email address, because it could be your name, but a different email address. Sometimes they change a bit of letters to make it look the same. So for example, the letter L with the number 1. So it looks almost the same, but if you look carefully, it may be different. So you may want to check on that. Sorry, next question from Irene. Face the same challenge as I think sending out. Is there an issue with domain.ch? Not that I know of. I mean, to be frank, I've not seen any higher incidence of spam being designated as .ch. Any idea if websites been on Squarespace? It's been fine because Squarespace, what Squarespace does is I think they do kind of approach email companies and security companies to whitelist their domain because they're a big enough player to say that anything on Squarespace should be legitimate and Squarespace itself will do the thing. So I don't think, it seems that this seems to be an issue here with spam being kind of marked wrongly. Okay, from Larry, in several instances, it's recommended not to put a contact email on a website, but rather use a contact form instead to avoid use by spammers. Oh yeah, this was something we did really way back in the day. So I think, I mean, we used to say, don't put your full email address, and then we used to maybe put like Lucian, then we spell @ instead of the @ sign so that people wouldn't steal that. I think today, email programs are a little bit smarter. So I don't think it's an issue anymore. I think it's okay to actually just put your email address down because we can detect spam a lot better. All those things are okay. I think it's fine. Because even when you use a contact email, most people set it up very simply and you can actually see the email address in the code. It's just a different way of sending it. Yeah. So we have one last question. Okay, any last questions? I think that's kind of it.
Yes, I have one.
Sure.
Sorry. me. What do you think about VPN? How much does it help concerning? Sorry, my phone.
No worries.
What do you think? How much does it help concerning security?
I think VPNs are a great step for security because what VPNs, what they do is they prevent the person who owns the Wi-Fi from knowing what you're surfing. So from a privacy angle, VPNs are definitely a very good idea. So for example, if you travel a lot and you go to hotels a lot and use their Wi-Fi for work and all that, the VPN layer would then kind of give you a secure tunnel, right, into whatever sites you're going to, whatever information is being sent and received. Because if the Wi-Fi that you're using is not your Wi-Fi, I don't know how they set it up, but they may be able to see everything that is unencrypted that goes through there. So a VPN prevents that. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Lucian, I think we're going to conclude. Thank you so much for your answers. I think it was very insightful for everybody. So I'm just going to now conclude, if you may. So I'm just going to share my screen. So thank you so much for your attention and participating to this Starting Pulse. So it's Starting Pulse is possible thanks to our partners. Now, if you can fulfill the feedback about this session, that would be great, either by scanning the QR code or clicking on the link. Otherwise, you can check our next event, which is going to be how to create a sponsorship strategy by Anthony Shaw, who used to be the head of sponsorship at Rolex, and it's going to be on the 8th of October on Zoom as well. So voila, thank you so much, everyone, and I wish you a beautiful afternoon and see you soon. Thank you. Thank you, Lucian, for your great presentation and great way of showcasing yourself as well.
Most welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.